Muggsy, hey, what are your thoughts on the state tax reform?
Welcome to the very first edition of the Dad Mode podcast. I'm your host, Andy Carlson, at Andy Carlson Show on the Twitter machine. I'm a father, and I have no idea what I'm doing, but you don't either. So let's try and learn something together today. The website is dadmodepod.com. Twitter is at dadmodepod, or just use the hashtag dadmode. Working on getting that trademark. I don't think anyone's called dibs on that. So I'm going to get all up in that. Don't steal my idea, damn it. This is the pilot episode, and about me. I am a first-time dad, just recently, Saturday, June 6th, and it's a beautiful little baby girl. I've been married 5 years to my absolute rock star of a wife, and she is the coolest, calmest, most caring, generous, and most level-headed person that I've ever met. And she keeps me grounded, as you'll find out if you listen to the show or have listened to the previous, some of my previous podcasts, Purple for the Win, Andy Must Die, Football Convos, etc., that I'm a little bombastic, a little out there, a little non-PC, non-conformist, as it were, and we'll get into that. Because this is going to be a show, a podcast that is strictly about talking about parenting from the perspective of a first-time parent. And, you know, there's so many magazines, books, and TV shows, and I'm sure other podcasts out there, websites that are just like, this is how you should raise your kids. And you cannot spank them, you cannot discipline them, you cannot feed them non-organic food, you can blah, 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 blah. And I think a lot of that is BS. And we'll get into all of that. And I think there is a new segment of the population that are absolute douchebags, absolute self-entitled princesses because their parents didn't raise them at all. They basically gave them a pass for everything, never taught them right from wrong, and just basically coddled them with kid gloves the entire time they were growing up, and now that they're adults, they're absolute dumpster fire of human beings. Yeah, but we'll get to all of that, and we'll get to all those little rants. But first of all, here's a little clip from the first night that my beautiful little girl, Muggsy, was here on planet Earth. Little Muggsy, hi, this is your daddy, and this is the first night you were born. And I'm whispering right now because your mama was asleep, and she had a very long day, and she did really awesome. And you're just over there in the little bassinet, and you're just sleeping, and you're so beautiful. Just little one. Yeah. And you were born on D-Day, and that was the day when the Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy, and as well as Omaha and Utah Beach, and just the overall invasion of the Normandy Peninsula. And then they had the 101st and 82nd Airborne dropping in the night before. So I guess that's technically June 5th. Anyways, when you get older, we'll talk about all this stuff because your dad's kind of a history nerd. It'll be a fun time. And you're just so strong already. You got such strong shoulders and arms and legs, and all the nurses think you're going to be a gymnast, and since you're Asian, you're probably going to be gymnast height anyways. And whatever you want to do. If you want to be a gymnast, that's great. If you want to be a scientist or a doctor or a lawyer, that's perfectly fine too. We're never going to be the parents that pressure you to do anything to live out our unrequited dreams. Like you're never going to be a dance mom daughter. Yeah, unless you truly want to be. Mom's not going to be taking you to pageants every weekend and dressing you up in costumes and sexing you up to make you look like a 24-year-old charlatan when you're 8. No, because no, your mom's not like that. She's the coolest person in the world. and I hope you take after her. I have just grace and empathy instead of your dad's snark and apathy. I guess that's a pretty good one. We are Minnesota sports fans, so I apologize in advance. You're gonna be cheering for the Vikings and the Twins and the Wolves and the Gophers and the Wild, and yes, they will break your heart. Although you're born into Teddy, and so hopefully Teddy will be able to do a couple things, and you'll know nothing but winning, like New England babies are born like 10-ish years ago. Just know nothing but winning. You never know the pain. Never know the pain of the 98 season, the 2009 season. See, the Wolves haven't really done much anyways. They just basically sucked. The Wild just got swept by the Blackhawks, knocked out of the playoffs for the third straight year in a row by Chicago. No big deal. But yeah, we'll get to sports later. Just for now, I'm just so glad that you're happy and healthy, and you already have such a distinctive cry, and all you do is like to eat and fart and poop. So you're just like your dad, and you're so beautiful, Mugs, and I love you very much. We'll talk later. Now I'm already loading up on the shotguns, on the hard brown liquor, and devising my story that I'm going to tell any potential little boy suitors that come to the door, asking if they could take Muggsy out on a Saturday night. I'm thinking about getting prison tats and saying, they only locked me up because of memorabilia theft. But the real reason why I was locked up. I'm basically going to become OJ just to scare the living bejesus out of any boy that comes to my door. Because the thing about having a daughter first, and the wife and I are planning to have a few more kids, boys and girls, although can't really decide that. Although, as the X and the Y chromosome holder, I kind of do subconsciously. But anyways, with the daughter, the old saying is, with a boy, you only have to worry about one penis, but with a girl, you have to worry about all of them. And I am already in full-on dad mode and going to stock up like it's a zombie apocalypse on weapons and weaponry. And it's not even the fact that I'm going to go out and hunt another human being for trying to date my girl. That sounds like good sport. I'm sure Bud Grant would be into something like that because he's a huge hunter too. But it's not really my thing. But the threat, the idea that I could, the 0.01% chance that I could just have a mental break or a mental lapse and just completely go for it, I want that in the back of little Johnny Appleseed's head. So there you go. But back to the show. It's going to be very nebulous of what the show is going to be. I'm sure it'll change several times going out there, but I am going to make this at least 3 times a week, if not 5 times a week. Just sort of short 30-minute podcast. We'll have a single theme every single day or a guest as often as we can, and we'll just talk it out. Because first-time parent, I have no idea what I'm doing. I did have good parents growing up, and I'll try and impart that as well. The wife also comes from a very stable background, and we'll talk about little disagreements like that. Mostly disagreements as in I was raised, I was spanked, the wife was not. And we've already discussed this a couple of times, as that's usually a hot button topic. And everyone and their mother's weighing in is like, you should not strike your child. How dare you? And it's like the Big Lebowski. That's just like your opinion, man. We'll get into that in a little bit. But the overall theme of the show is be a man, be a father, go dad mode. Because any boy out there can biologically father a child, but that doesn't make you a father. It takes a man to be a father, and the show will be from that perspective. And it's not going to be over-the-top, misogynistic, blah, 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 but I do believe boys and girls growing up do need a strong male presence in their life, a firm hand to show them a way. Now, I don't mean you should beat the shit out of your kids like Adrian Peterson did. As full disclosure, I'm a Vikings fan, and had to deal with that whole spiel. And by the way, that also bugs me, and the fact that the entire time that the whole Adrian thing was going on, because yes, I do agree with spanking, but what that was not spanking. And I do understand that in certain parts of the country, even 2015, it is acceptable. And I just didn't like when that whole thing went down. People were like, "Well, I was hit with a switch as a child, and I turned out fine." Congratulations. All right, just because your parents beat the shit out of you and you turned out semi-okay, in your opinion, yeah, you might not be okay. You might have a collection of ears in your basement, but you say, "Oh, everything's fine. I'm okay." That does not make you the supreme arbitrator of what is and is not child abuse. Congratulations. And as you may have surmised by now, that the show will not be 100% politically correct, and there will be a little bit of ranting, hopefully not over the top raving, about whatever a parenting situation did come up today. And I'll tell you right away, you probably will be offended at some point throughout the show, as parenting is completely subjective. And the only thing that we can really agree on is that you shouldn't shake the baby, don't leave the baby in a hot car, don't put the baby in the oven, and don't let the baby be a Packer fan. Yeah, that's really about it. Or a Bears fan either. Or a Lions fan. Yeah. And yeah, it's very hard to be a good parent, and yeah, even more so a good dad in a politically correct world as we is nowadays, because with social media and blogs, and it's going to be difficult. And today, yeah, a parent could be locked up for 15 to 20 years in the court of public opinion if I feed my kid non-organic fruit snacks. Oh, you didn't get the organic, GMO-free, conflict-free, resolution-free, organic fruit strips, and that pisses me off too, because they're fruit strips. They're not fruit snacks anymore. They're fruit strips. Oh, you didn't do that? Mm-hmm. Your kid's probably going to grow up to be a criminal. Mm-hmm. Or heaven forbid that out in public, I give my child a stern talking to, or one of the "you just wait until we get home" sort of deals, if they're acting a fool in the store, because you see this, and there'll be a mom with like 3 or 4 kids, and then they're all running wild in Target, and the mom doesn't do anything. Nothing. Not even a, "Hey, knock it off." Nothing. And the kids grow up feeling like, "Hey, it's okay if I act like a complete idiot in Target because mommy says it's okay," and all that stuff. And but I'll put it out there: we will not judge on this show, quote unquote judge. We will not tell you how to raise your children, but I or the guest will not be afraid to point out if what you are doing is very, very stupid. Again, your kids, raise them your way. But raising them your way, you're going to be called a moron if what you're doing is deemed stupid by us. And yeah, again, first-time parent, I don't know anything. You have no idea what you're doing. Parenting experts have no idea what they're doing either, because every kid is different and every case is subjective and blah, blah, blah. But right now, I'll put out there, the Bane to my Batman, the Joker to my Batman, the Penguin to my Batman. I'm a big Batman fan. You don't know that. I am Batman in this damn situation. But my arch nemesis will be, and this might be sexist or profiling or blah, 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 but as soon as I give the description, you'll know exactly who or what I'm talking about. The suburban soccer mom, or the SSM, as will be the acronym that will be used in social media and in all future podcasts and blog posts and blah, blah, blah. And the suburban soccer mom does not have to be a female. This could be the dad too. And you know exactly the type. And the minivan, or actually more accurately, the Yukon, because when you have a kid, you have to buy the largest SUV that's commercially available since they don't make Hummers anymore because you have to haul all of the crap to soccer. Because, you can't raise a kid in a sedan anymore. But the minivan or the Denali or the Yukon driving iced coffee, their kid, Aiden, Jaden, or Caden, he's playing soccer. He doesn't even want to play soccer. He just wants to paint. But mom's like, I need somewhere to be on Saturday morning, so you're going to play soccer. And the kid's like all scrawny and malnourished because his mom's got him on the gluten-free diet, even though the kid doesn't even have celiac disease. The mom just thinks it's a good idea. Oh, you don't need those carbs, little Johnny. And whenever you point out anything or say anything, she always gets very defensive, and it's like, my child. Ugh. And the kid absolutely has no boundaries. He goes down and burns down the storage shed, and she's like, hey, that is a timeout, mister. No iPad for an hour. Yeah. That whole sort of BS. So that will be the bane of my existence. And that'll be the one who goes to PTA meetings just to stir things up. I mean, she doesn't have anything constructive to add. She just wants to go there and complain about things. Yeah. That's just the thing with me. Like, if you're going to complain about something or point out that something is a problem, come with 2 or 3 different solutions. Just complaining to complain for complaining's sake is not productive. I'm all about problem solving. That's just the way that I'm wired. So if you're going to point out that problem X is going on, have solution Y, Z, A, B, C, and D ready to go. That's problem solving. Don't be like, well, I'm just saying. And I can already tell that this is going to be a holy war. I've been a parent for 5 days, and the SSMs have bugged me to a degree deep down for many years because I also coached youth football for a couple of seasons. And my parents, first of all, I want to put it out there, my parents that I dealt with and my kids were absolutely fantastic. But looking across the other sidelines, some of the parents, some of the coaches that got a little too intense, they got a little too coddly, because adults ruin youth sports. It's like the dance mom thing we brought up earlier. The dads who, I would have gone pro, except the coach had it out for me, or I had that little injury in high school. But every dad has that story, and they're pushing little Aiden, Jaden, or Caden to play tackle football as well, even though the kid doesn't want to play. But he's like, hey, we got to get you going early. We got you getting all-state linebacker. We got to get you to state university. And you got to get you on scholarship, son. We're going to buck you up. All that nonsense. Because they're just as bad as suburban soccer mom. I'm not going to lie. This is what the show is going to be. Basically me complaining about things or having guests on. Luminaries who are also parents, and I'm here in Minnesota, kind of tied into local sports radio, and hopefully have some of them or TV journalists, have them on, parenting experts, the whole nine, and I'll just run through questions I have, questions you have. You can get in contact on through the website or the Twitter machine, and we'll try and figure this thing out because there is no manual. And anyone who says they have all the answers is lying. But, the hot button topic, the whole spanking capital punishment thing, quote unquote capital punishment, get the hell out of here with that. I do believe in it. I was raised with spanking, but, with my dad at least, my mom was just kind of an idiot with the smacking. But my dad, when I did something bad, or I was potentially about to do something bad, he made it very clear why I was being punished, and then punished. And there was no belts, there was no electrical cords, there was no switches involved. It was just the open hand on the butt. Wasn't the back, wasn't the face with him, although my mom would smack me in the face a couple of times, and that was very unproductive because I had no idea what I was being punished for. I thought I was just being punished to be punished. But that's probably something for my future psychiatrist. But I do believe in spanking like my dad did, where it's very clear what you did and why you're being punished for it. And the punishment is never done in anger. It's always done in a very controlled, almost hermetically sealed fashion where you're not just wailing on the kid because you're pissed off. You can't do that. I think we can all agree on that. Like when Adrian Peterson, beat the shit out of his kid with a tree branch, that was in anger. It's pretty easy to say that was in anger. And the kid committed the unholy crime of pushing his other kid, probably not by the same mom, off a video game. So imagine if he actually did something that was much worse than that. Although, is there many crimes that a child could commit worse than pushing the other kid, his half-brother or sister, off a video game? I don't know. But enough Adrian preaching. But the whole spanking kid, because kids have to learn that there is right and wrong, and there is consequences for when you do something wrong. And, like I alluded to earlier, that's probably why there's so many douchebag and self-entitled princesses, because too many parents in the last generation didn't teach their kids that right and wrong. That wrong actions do have consequences. And this generation of parents, the whole, I don't know. I'm really worried about when the Aiden, Jadens, and Cadens, and they're all spelled with a Y, by the way, or Kazan. By the way, Kazan is the worst name in the history of mankind. Are you kidding me? That's the softest human being. I really am concerned about when this generation, of kids 5 and under grow up to be adults, what this world's going to be like. Because they're going to be all spoiled, bratty, self-entitled, douchebag adults that, I don't know, could ruin this country. This could be the death knell, the douchebags. It's not terrorists that end this country. It's not internal strife. It's not states' rights. It's not anything like that. No, it is the douchebags. So that's the intro to the show. Again, it's not going to be for everyone. But if you want to talk out some issues that every parent is going to face in a no-nonsense, common sense, Spartan, non-politically correct, first-time dad of a daughter manner, this might be your thing. This might be your thing. Show will be available on iTunes. Just search for Dad Mode. Follow us on Twitter at DadModePod or me at Andy Carlson Show. You can direct all of your hate tweets towards at Andy Carlson Show. I'm sure there will be some. Especially if you're a suburban soccer mom. The website is dadmodepod.com. But we're out of here. Be a man, be a father, go dad mode. See you next time.
The music was created and produced by Deeb. To hear more of his tracks, check out soundcloud.com/Deeb.